In today's video, I'm reacting to a powerful and emotional story about family estrangement. It's a reminder that estrangement is never black and white. It's full of complex emotions, layers of pain, and often a lot of assumptions about why families become estranged. But let's be clear, there's no one-size-fits-all reason for estrangement. Every story is different. And that's something we need to honor. Hi, I'm Marie Morin. I'm a therapist and a wellness coach. Let's get started. Let's listen to Chess's story.
Hi friends, if we haven't met yet, my name's Chess. I'm a psychotherapist, I'm a coach, and I am sadly estranged from my family. And I was thinking about my last visit to them, and I really wanted to share some thoughts with you guys. Because family estrangement, I think, is something.
So as we listen to Chess's story, it's really important that we remember that there isn't just one problem. It could be many problems. Many different factors can contribute to estrangement. Some families are going through issues like communication breakdowns over time, past traumas, unresolved conflicts. And I've covered in detail, which you might want to watch, 11 reasons why adult children cut off, not just toxic. It's episode 84. I'll link it in the description box, or click the link at the top of the screen. For Chess, this story is about her own painful journey. But what is interesting about it is that it highlights how much goes on behind the scenes for adult children that we don't often see. And it's not just about cutting ties. It's about this more complex thing of emotions and things that have been building up. Events that occurred, things that were said, behaviors that were expressed on a regular basis. Let's listen.
So winding back the clock, it was about 8 years ago now. So it's been about 4 years since I estranged. So it's another 4 more years or so before then. I'd been living overseas for a while, but I decided to go back for a visit to see my parents and my sister. And I was determined. I remember that I just really wanted it to work because so many other aspects of my life were going well. And I just felt that I wanted to have a good relationship with my family. And this is actually something that I thought.
So when I'm listening to this, what stands out in her story is how determined she was to try and repair things. She had this conscious choice, right? I'm going to visit them. I'm going to put myself in this state, and I really want to do the best thing. How can I have a better relationship with them? This is a crucial part of this story because estranged individuals often make tremendous effort to reconnect or to keep the family intact, and they go above and beyond to accommodate family members, and sometimes those efforts are completely unappreciated. And I want to emphasize that it's not a lack of trying, it's often a lack of understanding and sort of like misfiring on all different levels.
Very clearly about the relationship that at this point I'd really learned to kind of censor myself. And I knew that, say, going to see a friend was not going to go down well. If I chose to do something that took away time from what they wanted to do, it was kind of frowned upon. It wasn't looked upon in a very good light.
So Chess talks about how she had to censor herself, and it's heartbreaking to hear how she felt she needed to do this to avoid conflict. And many people in these strange situations say something similar. There's this constant pressure to hide a part of themselves to just keep the peace. And they describe walking on eggshells that add to the emotional burden that they feel. What I find really interesting that she describes is that she felt like she couldn't be herself. She couldn't say what she really wanted to do. And that is something that a lot of estranged people talk about. It's exhausting, it's hurtful, and it's makes you question if the relationship is really something you can sustain. I'm hearing parents say, really, That's why someone would leave and wouldn't want to be in relationship. And I want to be very clear that this is just a small snapshot of events that occurred. This video is a small snapshot. This woman has quite a few videos in her catalog that she talks about what happened in her family. And I don't think that one incidence of being uncomfortable is enough to make someone estrange and walk away from a family. However, I think that multiple incidences, multiple stories and situations where family is misaligned and someone is not welcome and someone feels extremely unsafe within their family dynamic, that can be understood as a discomfort for them. What does that mean? That it makes it really hard to be around these people. It's not pleasurable. It doesn't feel like you're being loved for who you are.
I was there for a week, and we went out for a meal, and it was kind of in a busy pub, a local pub, and it was my mum and my dad and my sister, my brother-in-law, and my sister's children. And I remember at this meal, it was my last full day there, and my dad stood up and wanted to make this speech because he's the head of the family and that's what he wanted to do. So he tapped on the glass like he thought it was at a wedding reception or something. And he said, and these are his words, he said, "Well, I'm sure we can all agree that Chess's visit wasn't nearly as bad as we thought it was going to be." He actually stood up in the middle of the pub, a public place, and proclaimed this.
Then we get to this moment where Chess's father makes this comment in a pub that she felt so humiliated. And this is a big turning point. Public humiliation can deeply damage a relationship, especially when it comes from family. And it's not just the words, so they cut to the core of one's self-worth. Let's be real, family should be a place where people are safe and respected, but when that's violated, it can feel devastating. And so this moment, okay, is a reminder that our words and actions can have lasting effect on the people we love, even when we don't realize it at the time. Continue listening. And right now, I just want to be clear that part of the exercise of listening, for those of you who may think that I've departed from the way that I feel empathy for all parties that are estranged, I think it's important to listen to Jess's story and to truly hear her heart and how sad it made her that she's making all of this effort to go visit her family, and yet her father makes this public announcement that her visit wasn't so bad when it was a labor of love for her to go in the first place, like a great labor. She traveled, she took time off, she invested in being able to see her family. Let's listen.
Oh my God, but I think I've been so used to them embarrassing me and saying bad things and putting me down in these subtly cruel and nasty ways. I just remember thinking, oh my God, I'm here, my brother-in-law. Like, I was so embarrassed. I was embarrassed for him to hear it, and for myself because I was being made out to be this awful person. And my sister's kids, they were teens at that point. And I was like, you're just making me look awful.
So again, Chess reflects on feeling unacknowledged for all the efforts she made. And this is something that is so common in estrangement. And I hear this from adult children, when you put in all this energy to try and repair things, but you're left feeling unseen and unappreciated. And parents do this too, and it could be soul crushing. Feeling undervalued by family is one of the most painful experiences, and it could lead to deep emotional exhaustion. And this is when estrangement starts to feel like the only way out. It's a form of self-protection after giving so much without receiving anything in return.
I was saying to myself, I am never going to put myself through this again. I'm never going to come back here on my own, without my husband, without support, and put myself in the situation where I can be talked to or about or whatever, where someone can say that about me.
So after everything that happened, Chess decides she'll never visit her family alone again. And this is a powerful moment because it shows just how deeply she needs emotional protection. Boundaries, well, you know, we talk about them all the time. It's such an important part of any relationship. What can you tolerate? Well, what won't you tolerate? And for a deeper look at this, I have another video that goes into more detail: family estrangement, how to set boundaries with your estranged adult children. It's video number 8. I'll include that link in the description box below. So by setting this boundary internally, she just says, you know what, I'm just not going to do this. I'm not going to come all the way here. I'm not going to go through all this effort to see my family and then just be here alone with no one to support me when I'm really hurt. And I can hear you now because I have you writing in my comments section that, oh my gosh, she's such a victim. She can't handle a little bit of maybe her dad saying something inappropriate. She can't handle that. She's such a victim. And I just want to say, please be careful in calling someone a victim. She's telling her story of the deep pain that she feels, just like the pain of parents that you've listened to. And when we diminish someone by making all about them just being a victim, we really invalidate what they're experiencing. Certainly we don't want to walk around being victims, but we don't want to invalidate someone's deep pain either. Wouldn't you agree? By setting this boundary, Jess is taking care of herself, right? It's important that estranged individuals often set these boundaries as a form of emotional self-preservation. It's like this: I won't tolerate this. I just won't tolerate it. It's basically saying to yourself, you know what, I'm just not going to tolerate that anymore. I'll tolerate this, but not that. And that's self-preservation, really.
I'd suggested to them that my husband and I were going to make this visit, and their response to me was, the timing is inconvenient. Perhaps another year would work. It's like, I'm sorry, you're busy for the whole year for me to come and visit? It's inconvenient for me to suggest
When Jess suggests visiting her family again, she's met with rejection. And this is another gut-wrenching moment for her because it shows just how deeply estrangement can hurt. Not being wanted or accepted or even questioned, like, I think it's a little inconsiderate that you're coming. It's just absolutely mind-boggling. Not being wanted or accepted by her family. I mean, it was a painful reality, and many people face this in estrangement. And it's not just the rejection, it's the feeling of not being enough. Why can't you value me? Why don't you see me? And this can make it even harder to heal, because the very people you want validation from are the ones turning their backs. Again, I'm hearing parents and what you say to me, my goodness, how could she? That's terrible. Why is she judging her father so much? After all, this is her father. Shouldn't she just honor them? So what if they feel like it's inconvenient? Well, it's because what we really need to remember is that it wasn't just this one incident. It was many incidents, a collection of hurts, harms, not being validated, not being treated as though you were valued. And I think that's where a lot of people miss the mark. While it's not just about, well, this person is entitled, or maybe they have a mental illness, or maybe this person is having a rough time and it's life events, or perhaps the parents are simply, distant or unattached. It's a collection of different things. It seems as though this dad was really not tuned into, he wasn't present, and he wasn't attuned to Jess, so much so that he hurt her repeatedly, and not really honoring her efforts to have a relationship with him. Because if he had been honoring her efforts, he would have been excited and said, hey, I'm so happy that you're going to be coming, or at least something to that nature.
To me in the pub. And of course his response was, oh, well, I had no idea. We don't remember it. The thing in the pub didn't happen. I spoke to your mum. No, she doesn't know it. We'd know that happened. And I'm like, stop denying this. Stop denying the truth.
I really think this is an important place for anyone on either side of the estrangement condition to really land, that when someone confronts and then the other person is just in complete invalidating mode. No, that didn't happen. This is a basic gaslighting situation. No, it didn't happen that way. Your mom would have remembered it. It's like, how horrible. There she is talking to her dad. Maybe she didn't do it perfectly. Maybe she was a little upset. Maybe she was a little elevated. And she's trying to tell her dad, hey, I'm upset about this. This is what happened in the pub and it hurt my feelings. And then her dad does not even recognize and doesn't want to do any of the work that would say, oh my, I'm so sorry I hurt you that way. I never would have wanted to do that. And it proves to her that this is not a safe place. Because if it were safe, then his response would have been more apologetic and he would have felt her distress and wanted to say he was sorry and just be loving about it. So there's all, this thing about him denying, right? This incident caused her so much pain. And it's another thing we need to talk about is how denial is a common response in estranged situations. We don't want to say that we did something, but we often refuse to acknowledge the hurt we've caused. And that can be what is so isolating for Chess. This denial, it only deepened the wound, and it was her reminder that without acknowledgement and validation from others, healing becomes that much more difficult.
And you can make all the excuses that you want, but actually what you're doing, is you're proving how unsafe you are. You're proving how there is no hope for this relationship. You're proving that you're not open to any kind of conversation where I can say, look, this is not working for me. It was just another nail in the coffin. And when I went to see that counselor, I was just like...
So we learn that she talks to a counselor. She realizes that this isn't about her as much as this pivotal moment that she's come to, that she's recognized that she's done what she could, and her father not acknowledging was basically her understanding deeply that this desire to have this relationship with her father was really going to be impossible. He was not able to do this. And the external validation that she does get, that the support she gets because she's really upset about this, she's going to get help. She tells us in the beginning that she really wants this relationship with her family. And I really want to stress that because I hear this a lot. It's not like these adult children just want to cut off for the sake of it. They want the connection with their family, and they deserve to have the kind of love and connection that they hope for. They deserve that. So it's a really, really heartbreaking place to be in. And I think it's especially important to know that when an adult child or a parent goes to an outside person and they get validated for their feelings, it feels so supported because you kind of feel alone in this situation when you're estranged. You feel very alone. You've been devalued, you've been rejected, you've been abandoned, and to know that it's not just about you, that there's either you're guilty of something or there's something wrong with you, and to have someone else say, hey, you know what, there were other parties involved here, and it wasn't just you, Jess. Your dad was really off the mark there. That could be so supportive for her, and it's supportive for others too, and that's why people seek help. And a counselor or a coach's perspective can offer so much clarity, reassurance, and a sense of relief. And It just reminds us that sometimes we do need the support of someone who's outside the situation, so that they can, add some unbiased, objective opinions here.
Actually, I don't really know what I want to say. I just wanted to share it because I think that people can so often look at the subject of estrangement, or look at videos on YouTube and not understand really some of the details and the real heartbreak that can come from, I don't even know what the word is, just families who can't be families. They just can't do it. They just can't do it. Anyway, there's lots more to my story. I'll probably continue it on in another video, but that's everything for today. Thanks for being here. If you're going through a difficult time with family, please know from my heart and soul to yours that I don't know what you're going through, all the details, but I think I get it on some level, and I'm sorry, and you're not alone.
So Chess ends her story by sharing that she still doesn't know exactly what to say, but she shares her experience, and she's so raw and honest in her reflection. For so many people who are estranged, they just want to be heard. They want their pain to be acknowledged, and when you're caught in the midst of it all, you don't always have the right words, but that's okay. What's important is being able to share the pain and find support along the way. And this is where compassion for yourself and empathy for others come in, because no matter the reason for estrangement, everyone involved deserves to be heard, seen, and supported. I'd love to hear your thoughts on Chess's story. Can you relate to her experience? Has this happened to you, or have you ever faced something similar? Drop a comment below and share your perspective. It's important for us to keep this conversation going and support each other. I'm here to help, to guide you through this. If you'd like to have a strategy session with me, check the description box. Let's keep this dialogue going. And don't forget to leave me a comment. We'll see you in the next video.